So you're studying I'm Malala and Pride. Today we're going to go through the convergent and divergent strategy, looking at ideas from both texts. Now, if you don't know my convergent divergent strategy, link up and above. I think you should watch that first if you haven't already, so you're familiarized with the strategy, so that this video is more productive, more efficient, more helpful for you. So let's talk about women's education, which is one of the more obvious similarities between the two texts. In Pride, this isn't the principal fight, but there are moments where it definitely shines, women's education definitely shines through. In particular, we first meet Shan as a young housewife, but by the end of the film, Jonathan encourages her to return to school, and we know that she goes on to become the first female MP of her district. Through the strike, she discovered her own passion for trade unionism, and education hugely empowered her to take that passion further. This is particularly important given how much the strike affects both men and women alike. I mean, consider the significance of bread and roses. Now, switching over to the memoir, the importance of women's education is a much more central element. As Yousafzai points out, going to school wasn't just a way of passing time, it was our future. In both texts, education helps people, and women in particular, forge relationships and futures for themselves and for one another. Notice how as I'm talking about women's education, I'm drawing convergences, so similarities between the two, in that both texts, they do portray the concept that education does help women and humanity in general, but we also look at divergences as well, so differences in the ideas. And I picked up that in I Am Malala, pretty obviously, it's a lot about education. It's the forefront, it's the main theme. It's one of the most forefront themes of the text, whereas it's more of a theme that sits in the background in Pride. So you want to get up to a stage where talking about convergences and divergences is quite natural. It sort of comes as a wave like this. I think a lot of students at first, when you start studying two texts, you'll feel very block-ish. So you'll look at similarities and then you'll look at differences. And sometimes it can feel like it doesn't really gel together that well. But it's okay, like you will get up to the point where, you know, similarities and differences just come to you as you're looking through things. And this sometimes just takes a little bit of time. Let's look at another idea so you can look at the convergent divergent strategy in place. Family. This one might also seem a little bit more obscure, but consider the role that family plays in each text, biological or chosen. For Yousafzai, her parents are important influences on her faith, as well as her opinions and values. She talks about how they fell in love and how Dubeke supported Zaudine's dream of making school available for all because she'd missed out on a formal education herself. The coming together of these experiences forges a deeply supportive relationship with their daughter. Biological family in Pride isn't always so supportive. Consider Joe's rocky relationship with his traditional suburban family. But chosen families are highlighted as just as important. The love demonstrated within the gay community, Gethin and Jonathan for example, but also Mark and Mike, as well as the friendship they extended to the minors, are important networks of support. Not only this, but family is shown to be capable of change and compromise in the name of love. Gethin is able to repair his relationship with his mother, for instance. So with this one, we talked a lot about similarities in terms of literal families, but in Pride, the divergent part was more about how families can be your non-literal family, the people you choose to be your family, your friends, relationship with others. So be creative with how you approach convergent and divergent ideas. If you feel like this is super helpful, by the way, then check out my I, Malala and Pride study guide. It's packed full of convergences and divergent examples, and I've got A+ essays in there, all annotated so you can know exactly into the mind of a 50 study scorer and basically adopt some of the techniques that are used in your own essays. More importantly though, I have just developed the bubble tea strategy, which is the BBT strategy for unique interpretations, which basically teaches you how you can go out there, find your own examples and come up with your own interpretation of the text. Too many times we see students just regurgitating the same information over and over again, or it's the same stuff that's been taught in class. And yeah, like it might be good in class, but when it comes to an exam, you're competing with all these other people. And if you're all just saying the same thing, it's a lot harder for you to stand out, right? So rather than just giving you a study guide that kind of tells you the example you need to use in an essay, which 50 other people might use, we teach you how you can actually come up with your own examples so that you have more chance to be original. If you want, you can download a sample of the guide as well. All right, let's move into one last example, which is building solidarity. In this one, we'll look a little bit more at divergent examples. The idea of solidarity doesn't come through in the memoir as much as it does the film. And to understand this, we need to remember what solidarity entails. It entails a coming together of different groups despite their differences to fight for justice. However, this could have been very difficult for Yousafzai, who was uniquely limited in who she could work with. Any Western support for her resulted in her being dismissed for her pioneer role in preaching secularism, which is in chapter 22. And she had little reason to trust the West anyway, based on their history in Pakistan. Either way, other groups, particularly powerful ones, aren't able to support her without major political fallout. So it's really on her own shoulders to have her voice heard. This contrasts with the film, where two different marginalized groups come together under the principle of solidarity. You support me, I support you, whoever you are, wherever you come from. I hope these examples have been helpful for you. I'm going to link you to my compare and contrast essay structure because I feel like you're probably going to be onto that next. So I guarantee it'll be super helpful for you. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and comment in the section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!